Hello, world, and welcome back to YBR Capital. This is your host with the Wizard of Money. Just following up on the developments of last week, as some of you guys know, I was challenged to invest in real estate. I'm basically a stock investor, but again, it's all investing, and the skill set is the same. You do the work, do the research, do the math, and then execute. The difference between stock market investment and real estate investment is stock market is more passive, real estate is more active in the sense you have to once you find the deal you have to execute it. It's a people business. You'll be talking to people, working with people, having people manage stuff for you, and your customer is people. So yeah, you better be ready for that. So before you get into the mechanics of actually how to do a real estate investment, everybody has their own process of doing it. Some people are like, hey, just watch the market and pound sand for 60 days and it will come to you in nirvana. And some people are more methodical. So I've been, trained in a certain way, worked in the best investment banks out there, went to the best business school. So this is the way I look at it. And of course, this is just, one guy's opinion of how to go about it. And the proof is going to be in the pudding. So how I'm approaching it. So look, first of all, I would like to understand what's going on in 2022. So here are my predictions of are we going to have a crash in 2022. So there are four things that's going to determine if we're going to have a crash in 2022. One, the trend I'm seeing is the percentage of investors versus percentage of homeowners is changing. So there are more investors in the market and less investors and less home buyers. The second is I predict the treasury yield, the 10-year treasury yield will hit 2% by mid-year, and the corresponding mortgage rate for a 30-year first-time home buyer is going to be like 4.5%. So for an investor, it's usually a 1% difference. So you're looking at around 5.5% investor loan. So that takes out a lot of mom and pop. So then the question is the affordability. Can you afford it? So right now maybe the math is working for investors, but once interest rates goes, they cannot afford it. So we're talking about regular folks like me. And then of course there is the in general affordability crisis in everything, and specifically in housing. I guess you have to look at what your wages are doing, so your income to price ratio. So whenever I've seen that it goes beyond 5x, so if you're earning $100,000, you can easily or you can afford a house for $500,000. So once it goes above that, that's when the home buyer demand starts to crack, and you kind of start getting into the hope territory, that hope I don't lose a job, hope I can make enough money, hope I get enough commission, hope I get that bonus to pay that mortgage, and that causes stress. And then the other aspect that's kind of going to hold up the housing market is the inventory, or rather the lack of. So one thing that we've seen is inventory has disappeared, and the question that perplexes me is why has it disappeared, what is the driver? So those are bigger questions, but the topic for today is there going to be a crash in 2022 in the real estate market? So let's explore. So first thing we want to discuss is what are the investors doing. So as you can see, there's been a dramatic jump in the investors as a percentage. So in 2019 it was around 7%. Now it's gone up to almost 22%. And the markets that we've seen the biggest surge in prices is where the investors are going. So Atlanta, Jacksonville, Phoenix, Charlotte, and Las Vegas, they've seen the biggest price gain and the biggest number of investors that are kind of hitting the market. So investors are definitely a big factor, and as we saw in 2008, that is when things start to go crazy, because the investors are willing to walk away from the house and not the homeowners. So I think we are at the precipice of the bubble. Is it 2004 or is it 2007 or is it 2006? That I'm not 100% sure where we are, but as we study this, understand this, get more of these metrics, we are gonna get to a very real number very soon. So what's going on with inventory? Because the only thing that's holding up the crash from happening as of today is the inventory, because it's all about demand and supply. So as you can see, historically, 800, 900,000 was the norm, but once the pandemic started, it fell down to 746, and now it's 306. So this is a single family houses for sale. So as you can see, the inventory is like 60% down, and 60% down of houses didn't just blow up and went into thin air, or there was a massive earthquake and we lost like a couple of states. Something is going on, and nobody is talking about that. And why is that? Hey, there's homeowner eviction moratorium, people don't have to pay the mortgage, stimulus money, all that good stuff, and that is driving that, because this is, as you can see, is not a normal market that we are in. So newbie investors who never bought a house, who have no investment philosophy or no investment experience, enter this house, and they're going to compete with low inventory, they're going to compete with investors, and they're going to compete with home buyers, and they're going to face a falling price and rising interest rate. This is just a recipe for disaster. So are we in a housing bubble? Definitely. This is real. We are in a housing bubble. And how do we know that? Well, let's just look at the past and see some major markets, what they are doing versus what they were doing. So let's start with California, the bubble market of all. So I didn't pick out San Jose or San Francisco because people were like, hey, you know what? This is tech area. People are getting RSUs, IPO money, blah blah blah. Okay, so let's pick up Los Angeles and San Diego. As you can see, the new bubble is way up versus the prior one. So prior one, everybody knew things were crazy. Like people were lying on loans, and still the housing market didn't go up as high as this. So what has changed? Are people making significant more money in Los Angeles and San Diego? That's not happening. So it's basically Fed money, hot money going somewhere, and that is basically the investors are pushing the market up. The home buyers are pushing the market up, and the banks know that. So usually investor loans were 20%, now it's at 25%. So the banks know what's going on. It's the music is playing, and let's see, when the music stops, who's left holding the bag of poop. Folks say, hey, Midwest is different, South is different. Well, as you can see, Minneapolis housing bubble 2 is almost 50% more than the last one. Dallas didn't have a housing bubble last time, but now, as you can see, it is gone crazy. So Dallas is going to suffer even worse. Las Vegas, typical trend, as you can see, bubble came, bubble burst, bubble starts, bubble is peaking up. So now the house prices are more than what they were in the last bubble. Has anything changed except the Raiders Stadium? So can you justify this valuation because there's a new Raiders Stadium? The salaries haven't changed, the people haven't changed, population average is the same. So if in the last bubble people were lying and getting loans, and if everybody's qualifying, then who has moved into Vegas who can afford all of that? And this is all real, so time will tell. Denver didn't have a bubble last time. This time, as you can see, this is a hard bubble, so Denver is gonna feel some pain. So that's what I had, a quick update. So I've been going out to the market. So I've identified 3 markets actually that I think makes sense from an investment point of view. So there's several ways to make money in real estate. Appreciation, so you invest in San Francisco, and during the hot Silicon Valley, within 3 years you double your money. That's not happening. People are losing money. As I said, in my area, condo prices are falling 10%. Single family is still holding on, but in Silicon Valley, condo prices are starting to fall. Try to sell a condo or 1 bedroom in San Francisco, yeah, just losing money. Oakland, you are fucked. Sorry. So that's appreciation. Cash flow is actually the name of the game for real estate investors who are serious about. You want to make money from your renters, and That's it. So based on that, as you know, my target is 10% cash on cash return. I can't find a market that gives me that unless I am willing to go to C properties or D properties. That's where low income, bad properties are there. More on the slumlord side. So I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna focus on decent, middle income type of properties and see what I can get. So I'm gonna look at what I've narrowed it down to Indy, I've narrowed it down to Jacksonville, and I've narrowed it down to Oklahoma City. So these are three interesting cities that I'm gonna review in my next group and in my next clip, and we're gonna talk about how I came to that. And that's basically, first you have to understand, what's going on. Okay, so we're in a bubble, but we can still make a deal because there's always a deal to be made. But you have to be cognizant of what you're walking into. This is not like the market is going to rescue you. If you make a mistake, the market will crush you because the market is going to crash. That is going to happen. When it is going to happen, how it's going to happen, we'll figure it out. So the next step is we know what's going on. Now let's find a market where we think we can make money, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next clip. So thank you so much.
Please support us by liking our video and subscribe.